Hi everyone, I'm Amy Karalik and I'm going to show you my Feedforward for assignment number 3, Feedforward Strategies for PIDP 3351 at Vancouver Community College. The description about the scenario is in the post, so I'll hop right into the video. Hi Michael, I'm just looking at your very first attempt on a lesson plan using the template, and I have to say you did a really good job. Can you tell me a little bit about how it went for you? Are there any areas you're specifically proud of? And are there any areas where you felt that you struggled the most? Approximately how long did this lesson plan take you? I'm sure that once you become more familiar with doing lesson plans, you'll pick up some speed, especially with the new knowledge that you're learning in your PIDP program. What I'm going to do is I'm going to estimate for the next lesson plans that you're going to take about the same length of time, and then you can keep me posted on how long the future ones take, so I know how to budget the time spent on the ones going forward. Again, great attempt at your very first lesson plan. What I'm going to do with you right now is I'm going to go over your lesson plan. I've got it pulled up here, and I'd like to do it while it's still fresh to do some final tweaks so that you know what I'm going to be looking for in your future lesson plans, and then you can be free to create wildly on the next ones. You've got some really great meat in here for your very first attempt, and I'm really proud of you at the work that you've done so far. All right, so I'm just going to hop right in here. So we've got the pre-session. You did a great job, great start listing out everything that each student would need. What I'm going to suggest here is, because you know Tool Crib is going to ask, are there some items that we can get away with where the students are sharing some of these items? Because this is a guide for the teacher, I would recommend putting a minimum and a maximum of the items needed for the class with the knowledge that we have 16 students in the class. You've listed PPE in here, and I want you to get really specific about what PPE you need. I don't want to have to think about what you need. I want you to do this as a complete idiot's guide so we can gather the materials that you need while you're teaching, worst case scenario. So if you send me a quick message or a phone call being like, we need to move to this lesson ASAP, I know exactly what you need, and you're going to look like a rock star. The next section that I saw here under the pre-session is you actually have the learning objectives showing here. And what I would suggest is actually pop this down into your pre-start briefing area. You've got a section here already where it'll fit perfectly. You've done a really good job. The students can tick these off the list as they meet them. So great job doing them as a SMART style goal. Just would push them down a little bit because what you want is a step-by-step for you as the teacher in order of how you're doing this. You want to let your students know. You don't want to keep this a secret or a surprise. So feel free to let them know how they can meet your expectations because it'll make your life a lot easier and also your students. Got it? In your session plan, I love what you did with the pre-start briefing. You've got a section here, describe a session schedule. So if you can expand that at all, I'd love to see you do that. Maybe link it to the further lessons going on in the future or talk about the different building blocks that they're going to be learning so that you can link everything together. If that's possible, throw it in there. And if you can, type it in there so that you know what you're going to talk about. Again, I talked about the learning objectives going in this section here. Let's see here. So that's the right spot for it. You don't want to have to flip your pages back and forth, so keep it easy on yourself. You're probably going to hear me say this over and over again. Keep it easy for yourself. You've got the assessment standard and grading expectations here as well. So I know that you sent these to me in another email, and we're going to drill down on those too. But once they're finalized, I want you to go ahead and put the notes or the gist in here so you can explain what you want to explain right here. You want to make it easy for you, the other instructors, and us, your managers and your admin team to support you. Halifax is also going to need to know our plan. So feel free to adjust the lesson plan while you're doing it on the fly, but this is the base model that we're going to build off of, and all of these instructors can just build off of that. So make it easy on yourself. You've also talked about safe shop practices and safety expectations, and then you have that further on down the lesson plan. I want you to take that whole section, move it up to here so that you can run through these in order. Again, you've got great bits and pieces. They're everything that you need. You just have to put it in a different order so that you can run through it, and everything you need is step by step. I want you also to talk a little bit about what you mean here. So you said stress that blatantly intentional unsafe behavior is grounds for immediate removal. I want you to use plain language for the students to explain exactly what that means so that they can meet your expectations. You know, what are the markers? What are the behaviors? What are examples here so that you can talk about this to your students, and what is a definite no, okay? So that's what I want there. Down here in the activity section, it looks like you've got kind of an overview here, and again, an overview of the assessment. Now, what I would suggest, because you've broken them down here in the activities breakdown section, is just straight up, just hop into the activities breakdown. If you want an overview, go ahead and throw that back up here in the pre-start briefing area, and you can do your overview in there. But for yourself as the instructor, I wouldn't have it in there. You want to make it easy for yourself. You're just going to flip past this anyways, so just hop right into your activities breakdown. Your activities breakdown are excellent. I like what you've done by breaking them out into smaller chunks here. And I would just recommend here, you've done it by hours, and you've done it like 0.1 hours and 0.25 hours. What I like to use is minutes, because it's easier for me to see, okay, this is how many minutes it took. If I have to do the math in my head about how much of an hour I've used up, it doesn't work for me. So I do find minutes works better than hours. So I would do a small adjustment there to make it easier to keep it on track. Another thing you might want to think about is how you're going to keep yourself on track. I've got a clock in the room. There's a clock at the bottom of the computer screen, but that doesn't show up when you have the PowerPoint. So keep in mind, I do like to use my phone or assign somebody in class to be my timekeeper to help me stay on track, because sometimes the conversations are really good. Sometimes you get on a tangent. So when you start talking about timekeeping, you definitely want to know how you're going to keep yourself on track. Question here also about the feedback. It looks like in this section here, you've used it in multiple different ways here. So this one here, you're asking the student to report to you about damage to the material, but then in the next feedback section, you're talking about things that you need to tell the students. And if that's stuff that you need to tell the students, I would almost throw that over here under this activities section so you can remember to talk about these things as you're doing the activities. You don't want to be looking all over the page here. You just want to keep it in a line and make it easy on yourself. Again, I keep saying it, make it easy on yourself. Put all of your important stuff in one area so you can bang, 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 just blast through it, and you're rocking it. Another spot that you use the feedback area, and I thought this was really great, but I wouldn't put it under feedback. Here, under deburr and countersink holes in accordance with drawings, that activity, you've got an activity extension about microstop countersinks. That's excellent. Are there other extension activities for some of the other activities you've got further up the page that you could possibly include? I thought this was really, really valuable, because if you really start rocking it in the class, you don't want to be sitting there and twiddling your thumbs with your class as you're finishing, all of your activities, and you've got all this time to spend. So if you've got more extension activities, what I would do is I would actually label them as such so people can use them if required. Also, I'd also put areas where you can shorten your lessons as well, in case, again, you get on a tangent, you get some really good questions, maybe people are struggling, so that way you can truncate your lessons or expand them as necessary. So great idea. Would love to see more of these if you have more of these. In the assessments area here, so you're talking about removing some marks for people, some demerits. And do you think that it would be of value to have some examples of what the demerits would look like? And I'm talking about not on your actual students' work. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you might have some shame, you might have some conflict between the students and some snobbery where one kid does it right and one kid doesn't do it so great. You want to actually have some external samples. So you might want to look for some training aids to help support this, and how you're going to be looking for certain things as demerit worthy. Okay, so something to think about to add to that pre-session section. Next here as well. Let's see what else I've got here for you. You've also, in this section here, you talked about not wearing appropriate PPE getting demerits, but then when I scroll down into your student and shop safety section, you're talking about unsafe behavior, you're talking about PPE, and then you've got these sections here, you've got C and D. And so, what are your thoughts about where does it go from a demerit to a failing grade? Also in this section here, I found that it was really subjective under C and D with that unsafe behavior. What does it mean? Can you give me some specific details? What exactly is blatantly intentional? What does multiple and repeated mean? We want to make it really easy for people to do the right thing. So I want you to remove any subjectivity. I want black and white. I want you to tell me what's wrong and what's right. Okay? So that's basically it. Michael, as I said before, this has been an excellent first attempt at a lesson plan, considering that you've never done one before, and I just threw this at you to try. A little bit of moving things around, some expansion on some areas, and I can see you already putting this lesson plan to bed. So how long do you think it'll take for you to make these tweaks so we can sign off on this lesson plan? And so I'll let you think about that. Give me some feedback on that. What I will do is I'm going to send you an email with a recap of the conversation so we can make it easy so that you can just cover everything, tick off all the boxes, and away we go. And then for the next lesson plan, what I'd like you to do is let me know what lesson you want to cover next. And if you have any goals for that one, so I can give you some feedback or feed forward for the next one. But so far, I'm really excited. Great chat, Michael. And I'm really looking forward to seeing your final version of this lesson plan and what you do with the next ones. Let me know if you need any further support on this or any clarification, and we'll chat soon. Have a good one. Bye.